What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update. It is Spurs Day today. Spurs are back in action officially, pre-season against Hearts tonight. We'll be on with the watch-along, so come and join us there a bit later on this evening. 7 o'clock kickoff. It's Ange Ball Day, people, and I bet you're as buzzing as we are. But let's get into the Tottenham news of the day. Ben Jacobs says that Tottenham will now trigger a one-year extension for Heung-min Son this summer, keeping him at the club currently until 2026. Nothing short of what he deserves, but I think he probably deserves a bit more than that. He probably deserves a whole new contract as a whole.
We've heard about these extensions for a while now. I don't know why it hasn't been announced, because we've heard from a few sources that Spurs intend to trigger this option. I wonder if they're waiting till we go to Korea to announce it, maybe that's the kind of, maybe the news will get a lot more fanfare while we're in Korea that Son's extending his contract. But I agree, he's a captain of the club now. He probably deserves a brand new contract with fresh terms and higher wages. But I guess from Tottenham's point of view, he's got that one-year option and they can kick that can down the road for another year. I'm guessing that's what they're thinking.
Yeah, I think so. But, you know, he deserves not just a contract extension, but a wage rise as well. Captain of the club now. He hasn't had a new contract since the captaincy has been given to him. So I think it's only right to do that. But let's move on. Let's talk about Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg now, as Sky Sports says that Tottenham midfielder Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg is among the options for Fulham's shortlist this summer transfer window following the departure of João Palhinha to Bayern Munich. We heard about Fulham's interest last summer when João Palhinha was on the verge of joining Bayern Munich, and Hojbjerg didn't really fancy going there last summer, so I can't really see him fancying going there this summer.
Yeah, I don't know what's changed. Nothing, I don't think, has changed in terms of Hojbjerg's mindset. He's still on holiday. He's got a number of big clubs after him. Obviously, I think Fulham were the only ones last season willing to put up the money that Tottenham wanted. I think he wanted and moved to Atletico, but they weren't willing to put up the figure that Spurs wanted for the transfer last season. With Hojbjerg now, with a year left in his contract, I don't see what would have changed when it comes to his want for Fulham, unless there's less interest for him, which I don't think there is. I think there's still a lot of interest. I'm surprised, we're getting to mid-July, getting to nearly, not that far away from August, and this move hasn't moved too far. But maybe it's just because he's relaxing at the moment, and after a really taxing Euros where he played his part, played really well, I thought, for Denmark. So I do think this will accelerate once he's back from the Euros, I assume. But I mean, I've seen players move while they're on holiday before, so I don't think that's a major stumbling block. But I'm just surprised that this one isn't down the road. But I don't think he'll be going to Fulham. Yeah,
surely he's back imminently, because they went out fairly early in the Euros. You'd assume he's probably back maybe early next week or something.
Well, did he? Am I right in saying he didn't come to the post-season, did he? Because they were saying he was looking for a move. So, I mean, even that was like, what was it, end of May? So that's nearly 2 months ago now. So if he was even then talking to other clubs about moves, how has it not progressed? I'm just a bit confused.
It is a strange one. Maybe things are happening in the background that we're not privy to. We know that Spurs and, well, particularly Johan Lang likes to conduct these things behind closed doors, so maybe it's one of them.
Unless clubs are thinking the later we wait, the better off deal we're going to get, because they know we want to sell. They know Tottenham... he has a year left on his deal, so the later they were in the window, probably the lower the fee's going to go.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've got a lot of players in that camp. So, are we going to have to wait until later on in the window to get these players out? Does that implement and impact the incomings that we have as well?
Potentially, but that's exactly what Tottenham have done in previous years. It's nothing new. It's a very obvious negotiation tactic. So, we'll see how it goes.
Next up, Emerson Royal. Ben Jacobs says that Dortmund Al Nassr are yet to bid for Emerson, but both have him on their list. Newly promoted Saudi side Al Qasida or Qadsiya are another club to watch in this transfer window. It doesn't seem like much is progressing on the Milan front. We heard that the bid got rejected, which was pretty much a derisory bid, let's be honest, 10 million euros. And if AC Milan are not willing to up their bid, can you see the likes of Borussia Dortmund, Al Nassr or Al Qadisa giving Spurs what they want?
I think obviously the Saudi clubs, you'd assume, have the money to put on the table, considering that there's not a lot of money Tottenham are asking for in the grand scheme of things. Obviously the bid that Milan put in was never going to be accepted and was always going to be rejected. Apparently they made that bid verbally, and Tottenham told them, if you make that bid, that's not going to be accepted. Then they made that bid and it wasn't accepted. So it's very peculiar their dealings with this, because let's be honest, if they want Emerson, they're going to have to double that bid. And are they willing to do that? Maybe not. I would have assumed they were going to get close to what we're asking for, but that opening bid is way off the mark. But then again, Tottenham are no strangers to an opening bid like that themselves, and then getting closer to what the club wants. So I wouldn't completely rule out Milan just yet, just because they made that opening bid. But obviously, I think the Saudi clubs definitely will put up that money, but it's whether Emerson wants to go there. And then Borussia Dortmund are also coming to the fray, so I'm not sure what kind of financial situation they're in.
Yeah, again, we'll have to wait and see, but it does seem like, it was so hot on the press about Emerson to Milan, and even he came out and spoke about it and how he would like to play for Milan, and it all seems to have gone quiet on that front. Do you feel like Milan will come back in?
I think they'll come back in with another offer. I don't think 8 million was their highest offer. I don't believe that.
Let's hope so. Ollie Skipp now. Peter O'Rourke saying Leicester are now plotting a move for Tottenham midfielder Ollie Skipp. Leicester are in the market for a central midfielder this summer following Keenan Dewsbury-Hall's departure to Chelsea. And I think it's actually a move that makes sense, Ollie Skipp to Leicester. I think it would be a good move for him. Premier League football week in, week out. I feel like it's a much better, obviously it's a better move for him than to go to somewhere like Leeds, who are in the Championship. And I think it's a move that he deserves. He deserves to go to a Premier League club and play week in, week out.
Yeah, and obviously he was part of the Norwich side who got promoted with a large number of points back in 2021. It was 2020, wasn't it, when he was on loan there? So obviously he was in the Premier League, but they were playing good football at the time, very similar to this Leicester team. Obviously they got new management, they're looking for fresh blood. I do think he would fit right in there at Leicester. I do think it's a really good fit. I think Steve Cooper's a good manager for him, and I think he needs to go somewhere where he's playing week in, week out and can find his rhythm again, because at the moment he's just stagnated. He's had injuries, and I just feel like he's been in and out of the team. He's been getting very few minutes here and there, and if we want to get that Ollie Skipp that we know has that potential to grow, he needs to be playing week in, week out. I don't think that's ever going to happen under Ange. But then obviously that leads us to another problem, which is if with Parrott leaving for RZ, and if Skipp leaves, that means we're going to have a maximum squad size of 23, unless we sign a homegrown player. So whether what that means for our future business in the window. Obviously, if Ollie Skipp stays, he's going to be part of the squad anyway. So it's not like it should affect our business per se, but it does affect the size of the squad.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless they are planning for one of the academy players to be part of the squad next year, anyway. But that could kind of fill the quota. But it remains to be seen which ones.
They don't have to be part of the 25.
In Europe, will they not have to be?
They don't have to be. I don't think. I think you just shrink the squad size, and then the youngsters will go in the B squad anyway, so they'll be available.
All right, fair enough. So yeah, I guess it's the same either way. But
Bergvall and Gray do need to be on the list.
Bergvall and Gray, because they haven't been at the club for 3 years. So yeah, I mean it's not the greatest situation. But I was actually looking into like other clubs in the Premier League, and I was looking at specifically Arsenal's squad, and they had a squad size of like 23 last season, and they seem to get on well in majority of the competitions. I know they went out to Bayern Munich, but they seem to last all the way till the end of the season in the Premier League.
City as well. Didn't have a 25-man squad, but I think first of all, this is what I keep saying, they've got versatile players who can play multiple positions. That's how you get away with it.
Yeah, and that's what we need. Exactly what we need. But how do you think Skippy and Winksy will get on in a double pivot together?
Oh, I wonder what a partnership they would make. Why not? I think that could work.
Let's talk about Richarlison. Ben Jacobs says that Saudi deal makers have already indicated they are prepared to pay close to £60 million for Tottenham forward Richarlison. Al Ittihad and Al Qadisa are both expressed an interest in the Brazil international, and Spurs are now braced for offers. We've been hearing this for so long now with the Saudi and Richarlison thing, though.
We have, and we know that Richarlison made a statement at the end of the season saying that it's all lies about him leaving. He will be staying in England next season, so that would indicate that he isn't looking to leave. But we'll have to see what the offers are before we consider them. If they do put up the 60 million and Tottenham accept it, then it'll be interesting to see where Richarlison's head's at when it comes to if Tottenham have accepted the bid. When I think a player like Richarlison needs to feel like he's wanted. If he doesn't feel that way, maybe he will consider an exit. So I wouldn't completely rule it out, but I think Richarlison's head right now is definitely on staying at Tottenham. But if a bid gets accepted, then it gives them a decision to make, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Jonathan David now. Ben Jacobs says that Tottenham are interested in Lille striker Jonathan David, but are under stiff competition between Chelsea, West Ham and Newcastle United for his signature. And I mean, with the value of 25 million for a guy who's got a record like he does, I mean, it's not really a surprise, is it? No,
and we've spoken about it before, and there's no surprise that he's very much sought after. Talking to Brian Daigle yesterday, obviously a Canada fan who watches a lot of their games, and he was saying he would he understands some people's reservations about Jonathan David, but he does think he would probably be worth the risk of that kind of price because of what he could potentially offer. I think it's probably worth the risk. It's worth spending that 25 million on him. You would probably get a decent amount of goals out of him, but there must be some reasons why he's stayed at Lille for this long and hasn't really been close to leaving for the past few years, despite his really good goal record. He's been linked with a number of clubs without any major interest, but it'll be interesting to see who wins that race. Obviously, if Richarlison leaves, we're going to be very much in need of a striker. Looking at those other clubs on the board, I mean, Chelsea got Jackson, they got Nkunku, could potentially play up front. Don't know if they're as desperate as us. I think West Ham could definitely need him because Antonio's there. Arsenal, I guess they could do with him. They've got Jesus and Havertz there at the moment. Havertz they're very happy with. I think if Jesus stays, I don't know if they're going to dip into that transfer in the market for a striker, to be honest.
I think they want a striker that can score a lot of goals. I think that's kind of the difference between them and maybe City last season, to be honest. I think they were clearly after Sesko, and Sesko ended up staying at RB Salzburg, so that indicates that they are in the market for a striker.
Potentially. I mean, I think they were before Havertz started really turning up, and then I think Havertz's form at the end of last season has made them pause, I think, on that. I'm not saying they won't go for one. I think it depends on the future Jesus.
To be honest, I think they're waiting for Sesko. I think they'll get Sesko next summer.
Yeah, and maybe they'll keep Jesus for another summer. It's another season, sorry. And then Newcastle, obviously, they got Isaac. Wilson might be looking to leave. I mean, Wilson and David as two options up front. Sorry, Isaac and David as two options up front would be really good. So I think there's a lot of domino effects here.
Has Wilson left?
He's not left, but apparently they want to sell him.
All right, so that's Jonathan David. Conor Gallagher. Ben Jacobs says that Tottenham value Chelsea midfielder Conor Gallagher at £35 million. At the same stage last year, and it is understood Spurs have absolutely no plans to go north of this valuation. So if we don't go north of 35 million, you can probably put that one to bed.
I think that's the right decision. I think he's got 1 year left on his deal. I know he's an England international, he's a good central midfield player, but I think that is probably fair value for Conor Gallagher right now. Obviously, you could spend that extra bit more and make sure you get him over the line, but as I've said before, I don't think he's absolutely necessary right now. I wouldn't pay. I'll probably go maybe to 40, but I mean, only if we really think we need him, which I don't. So I'm looking at 35 million. I think that's a fair price. But again, he hasn't signed that deal for Chelsea. And the closer it gets to the end of August, will Chelsea get a bit cold feet and accept the lower bid? Maybe. So even at 35, once it gets close to that deadline, maybe that is a bid they might consider.
And you know what? Like, even if he doesn't sign a contract and still hasn't moved by the end of the window, in January he could be going for even cheaper.
Even cheaper, or even run down his contract. But then if he runs it down, is Tottenham got a chance there? I'm not 100% sure.
Last one is Désiré Doué, as Fabrizio Romano says that Spurs have now gone cold in their pursuit of Désiré Doué. We know that PSG and Bayern Munich are heavily linked, with both clubs planning to make moves. Bayern Munich their second, PSG their first. We know that Rennes are looking for around 60 million, which is a lot for Désiré Doué, and apparently that has turned Spurs off.
Well, I'm not surprised we don't want to get in a bidding war with Bayern and PSG. I thought maybe if we could come up with a kind of price which has bonuses or add-ons included in it, which could get close at 60 million, maybe they would consider it. But I'm assuming that Bayern and PSG are willing to put more up front, and I'm assuming Tottenham don't really want to compete with that and don't want to get into a bidding war and drive up the price. So looks like this one we're leaving, which is a bit frustrating because he's one I'm very excited about, but looks like Tottenham won't be his next destination.
Are you frustrated at the moment with the transfer window? A week to go until Spurs travel out to Korea, or just over a week, or to Japan, I mean. Only Archie Gray and Timo Werner in, and you're looking at the deals that we were supposed to get out like weeks ago, like Emerson and Hojbjerg, that hasn't happened. I mean, are you frustrated? Are you getting a bit impatient?
I'm not happy about it. If I'm sitting here at the end of the window and we had a good window, I'm not going to say, oh, we didn't sign anyone until the 17th of July or whatever it is now. So I think it's something that's manageable, but it's not. I'm not sitting here happy about the situation, that's for sure. And you can't cast your mind back to the summer under Conte. We had a lot of deals wrapped up by this stage, but then again, it wasn't the best season, so it doesn't guarantee success.
Even last summer, we had quite a few deals wrapped up early. Madison was done by now, I think.
And the noise as well, we wanted to get a lot of them wrapped up before the...
and said it himself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the fact that we haven't is not great. I wonder what the reason is, whether we've gone for people and they've gone to other places, or we've been priced out of other targets and we've had to move down the list. But I guess Spurs would argue we've made 2 signings, and that's not a terrible amount at this stage. I'm not sure what the excuse would be. I mean, look at I know apart from Villa, who have done a lot of business, look at the teams around us. It's been quite slow, I would say. Obviously, United signed Xerxes. But apart from that, you look at City, Arsenal haven't made any moves yet.
United look to be making some serious moves. I mean, heavily linked with De Ligt. Euro looks to be going to Man U over Real Madrid at the moment. Xerxes through the door. They seem to be making serious moves at the moment, Man United.
They made a couple of signings. No, I agree, and we've made a couple of moves. I'm just saying the market hasn't been that quick for everyone. But as a Spurs fan, hearing what Ange said and looking at our squad, I was hoping a bit more business would have been done by now.
Yeah, me as well. But again, we'll have to wait and see how things do rumble on in the transfer window. But that is the update for today. Looking forward to seeing you on our first watch-along of the season. Hearts against Tottenham in our first proper pre-season friendly. See you all there. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.